just to reiterate in this section, at the bottom of page 589, the last paragraph says this, that limited liability is the main advantage of incorporation. So that's the big reason to incorporate. Another reason is the transfer of ownership in a corporation. That's at page 590. If I'm a shareholder of a corporation and I want to transfer my ownership interest in it, that is my shares, I simply sell my shares to somebody else. If I was a partner with somebody else, I just couldn't do it. I'd have to get my partner's consent or approval, if you like, to transfer my share of the partnership to somebody else. But that's not the case normally with corporations. Now, there's always an exception that we'll talk about later on. But if someone, for example, let's say you're a shareholder of Facebook Corporation and you own shares and you want to transfer them, that is, sell them, you just sell them on the stock exchange. It's simply done easily. That's at the top of page 590. Another reason people incorporate is for what we call the separation of ownership and management. That's pointed out at page 590 also, under management. In a partnership, all the partners have to be managers. But in a corporation, all the shareholders do not have to be managers. The managers of a corporation are elected by the shareholders, and they're called the board of directors. They run the corporation so that, for example, I could be a shareholder of a corporation and not have to make any management decisions at all. For example, if own 100 shares of Facebook, I'm not on the board of directors. I don't have to make any management decisions. But if if Facebook was a partnership, they'd have to ask me if they want to buy this or sell that or whatever. So this concept of the separation of ownership and management in the corporation is very, very important. As the book points out under the third paragraph under that heading on page 590, it says, separation of ownership and management and limited liability are the primary advantages of the business corporation. So why don't you underline that again, where it says separation of ownership and management and limited liability are the primary advantages of the business corporation. This which is what allows corporations to raise vast amount of money as opposed to partnerships. Partnerships can raise money too, but the corporation is well suited to raising vast sums of money because of limited liability. The shareholders are only limited to what they've paid for their share, or their liabilities limited to that, and they don't have to participate in management. They're simply owners expecting to get a profit. As the book points out also, if one is a partner in a corporation, he or she has a duty of good faith to the other shareholders or other partners. Whereas in the corporation situation, shareholders do not own a duty of good faith to the corporation or to other shareholders. We'll explain that more fully later on in the next chapter, but that's pointed out at page 590 right now. Continuity also is a distinguishing feature for the corporation from the partnership. Let's say a partner, you have a partnership, two partners in a partnership dies, that partnership has ended. It's finished. Whereas in a corporation, because the corporation is a separate person, if a shareholder dies, the corporation doesn't die, it still lives on. And it has perpetual existence. Now, there's ways of ending a corporation. There's no question about that. But it is a vastly different creature than a partnership, in that a partnership will end on the death or the leaving of a partner, whereas a corporation, if a shareholder dies, the corporation still continues. And I won't get into it too deeply, but as far as taxation concerns, a corporation is a person like you and I, and it can be taxed by the government like you and I. That's pointed out the page top of page 591. So look at the checklist there at page 591 of partnerships and corporate ownership contrasted, and that will give you a good understanding of the differences between partnerships and corporations. And basically, I'm giving you that as the reasons for incorporation. It's a well used method of carrying on business, the corporation, and we're going to try to understand more aspects of it as we go through this.